Hello folks. I just thought I'd talk about a few ideas I've had related to worshipping the ancient Brythonic gods and why I believe it's relevant even today. I'd always felt a connection to the places my ancestors lived, so I started diving into books and YouTube channels about the Celts and ancient Britons. But there was one thing I couldn't wrap my head around. Some of these clearly intelligent people weren't just studying the old gods, they actually believed in them as if they existed in realms like Valhalla or the Celtic otherworld. That was a huge stretch for me, but as I looked deeper into what these gods represented and how they were worshipped, I came up with a theory that there's a psychological and cultural reason behind why people still worship gods or higher figures today, even if they don't realize that's why they're doing it. Worship isn't necessarily about believing in a literal deity. It can be about connecting with archetypes, aspects of the human experience, or ideals that give us strength, guidance, or comfort. For the ancients, gods were literal beings explaining life, death, beauty, and the mysteries around them. But my ancestors' beliefs are a whole other topic. So here's why I now make offerings to the ancient Brythonic gods, and why I believe it's not only logical, but genuinely beneficial for us today. Psychologist Carl Jung argued that gods and mythological figures are archetypes within the collective unconscious, the deep universal part of the human psyche shared across all cultures and time. These archetypes, like the wise father, the warrior, or the healer, represent the aspects of the human experience that connect with us on a deep level. When people worship or seek wisdom from a figure like Odin, in my theory, they aren't necessarily asking a literal god for answers. Instead, they're connecting with the archetype of the wise, all-seeing guide who represents the pursuit of knowledge, understanding, and inner strength. I believe that there's a psychological comfort and positive factor in looking up to these figures. Worship or reverence provides structure to our thoughts and action, making us feel like we're aligning ourselves with something greater and more meaningful. Imagine a role model who represents the qualities we aspire to embody. When you look to a deity like Odin for wisdom, you're invoking the idea of a guiding figure that helps you strive for wisdom in your own life, providing an idol for self-improvement. Worship or reverence connects us to our roots, to the history and traditions of our ancestors. Worshipping Brythonic gods can be a way to feel connected to an ancient lineage and to a world where every element of life has its spiritual counterpart. This connection to the past can give modern life a sense of depth and continuity, opposed to the superficiality most of us feel in today's materialistic world. I can only talk for England and maybe the West, but we're increasingly surrounded by materialism and individualism. Personally, I'm sick of it. They have turned celebrities into modern-day gods, and activities like football have become objects of worship. It's a shallow world we're living in. Life often feels dominated by the pursuit of wealth, status, and personal gain, leaving people feeling empty and disconnected. Many are left trying to fill this void with material possessions or superficial achievements. Most people I chat with have lost touch with a deeper sense of purpose, British tradition, and community, becoming atomized, living more as isolated individuals than as parts of a whole. Their detachment from the community and from something greater than ourselves has led to a sense of emptiness and, quite frankly, complete shallowness. This is where the ancient practice of worship, even if it's not literal, can bring real value. Revering figures like the Brythonic gods or other archetypal symbols gives us a way to reconnect with something timeless, something beyond ourselves. When we look up to gods or figures who embody wisdom, resilience, courage, or compassion, we tap into qualities that uplift us and give us a path to follow. This kind of connection and self-reflection can be a way to escape the materialistic, hollow existence that modern society often pushes us towards. Instead of being centered solely on acquiring or consuming, we focus on values, personal growth, and connection. Psychologically, worshipping and respecting these gods fulfills a deep-seated human need to belong to something larger, to feel part of a story that began long before us and will continue long after. It aligns us with a sense of continuity and tradition, and for many it's a source of inner peace and purpose. Paying homage and revering these gods gives more meaning to our life and builds our understanding that we're not just consumers or isolated individuals, but part of a lineage, a culture, and a world filled with meaning. As Carl Jung explained, these archetypes, be it Odin's wisdom, Rhiannon's resilience, or Ceridwen's transformative power, connect deeply with our unconscious mind. They represent ideals that help us transcend the trivialities of day-to-day life and move towards self-realization. When we connect with these figures, we're not only honoring them, we're also nurturing these moral qualities within ourselves, making us more resilient, more connected, and more grounded. Ancient forms of worship or reverence aren't outdated relics. They can be used for psychological and spiritual well-being. They are the antidote to the superficiality of modern life, a way to reconnect with values and ideals that are beautiful, profound, and enduring. This kind of worship allows us to live more intentionally, cultivating moral values that transcend the pursuit of more and instead focus on becoming more in terms of character, wisdom, and compassion. In a world that feels increasingly shallow, this connection to the past and to spiritual archetypes can provide depth, grounding, and a path toward a richer, more meaningful existence. So that's my theory why some people, including myself, make offerings or worship these ancient gods. If you want to test this idea, or if you're seeking to bring one of these ancient deities into your home as a spiritual presence, you might consider placing a statue in a dedicated space where you can light a candle, reflect, and pay respects and make offerings for rewards from the gods. Bringing these deities into your home isn't just about worship. It's a way to reconnect with cultural traditions that have been forgotten by many. In ancient times, these gods were an important part of life, helping people through their struggles, celebrations, and transitions. Honoring them today can bring a sense of connection, and that we are part of a lineage that reaches back through the centuries. In modern England and elsewhere, as we move away from traditions, we risk losing a vital part of our collective identity, replacing it with materialism and a sense of isolation. Reconnecting with the deities of the Brythonic tradition, we reclaim a piece of our past, honoring the values, beliefs, and spiritual practices that molded our ancestors. Whether you are Christian, pagan, or simply spiritually inclined, embracing these ancient figures can deepen your sense of self and belonging. Thanks for listening, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day.